fire in France, killing at least 84 people in the coastal city of Nice.
People just began to run, and we don't know why. Like in movie or like in a dream, so we began to run too.
President Hollande raises the terror threat in France to its highest level and cancels a decision to lift the nationwide state of emergency that's been in place since last November. And as France wakes up to this latest tragedy, newspaper headlines say it all. Ewan O'Neill and Nikki Aaron in the studio here with our continuing news of the massacre in Nice. Welcome to the programme. A massacre has unfolded in the French city of Nice. A truck ploughed through a crowd of people celebrating Bastille Day on Thursday night, with the driver opening fire from the vehicle, according to authorities. At least 84 people have now been confirmed dead. A video has emerged online showing the moment of the atrocity. A warning to viewers, the pictures we're about to show you are disturbing.
A bystander captured this video during the Bastille Day celebrations on the Promenade Des Anglais in Nice. A large white truck travelled for 2 kilometres through crowds on the seafront, killing scores of people. Eyewitnesses say the driver zigzagged in an attempt to mow down as many people as possible. He also opened fire on the crowd before being shot and killed by police. Well, here's a video of the immediate aftermath of the attack. We must warn you again of the graphic footage.
Well, along with at least 84 fatalities, more than 100 people have been injured, many of them critically. We're hearing around 19 or so at the minute, and there has been a call for blood to be distributed to hospitals there to help with those badly injured. Now, people attempted to disperse and run from the oncoming vehicle. Many were unable to reach safety.
A bigger kamyon coming on people, like in movie or like in a dream.
We saw people running and falling down. We saw a Frenchman, his hands were covered in blood and he was shouting. My wife was there.
We heard pop, 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 and people jumping off the Promenade des Anglais.
People just began to run, screaming with their children.
Well, since the city has been on lockdown, locals have been taken to social media, offering to help those who have nowhere to go. This hashtag translates as open doors.
I was at the celebration with my 2 daughters. Please help us. The hotel is closed.
I can accept people at my place in North Nice.
If anybody needs help, don't hesitate to contact me in West Nice.
Well, just 3 Nice, I am Nice is a hashtag trending now online. Since the Charlie Hebdo shooting in Paris last year, that type of message has been repeatedly expressed to show solidarity with the victims of terror, with similar slogans used after the killings in Paris, Orlando, Brussels, Istanbul and elsewhere.
On ne sait pas marcher comme ça. Je suis Paris, je suis Brussels, je suis Orlando, je suis Baghdad, je suis Nice. I'm tired of it all.
Well, after the tragic events, local residents are concerned that the French government has failed to ensure adequate security despite numerous terrorist atrocities. RT's Europe correspondent Peter Oliver spoke to me earlier. This is what he had to say.
Just scenes of absolute panic that we're hearing from those that survived it. Also some heartbreaking images that we're seeing on social media that have been put up by the loved ones of those who knew people who were there but haven't heard from them. But we're also hearing from locals that are extremely unhappy that this was able to take place in the first place, this particularly devastating attack.
Even though we are under a state of emergency, there doesn't seem to be any security. We've known that there was going to be an attack. We've all felt like there was going to be an attack. Just the other day, I left the beach because I thought anybody could come here and shoot us. That truck came past a barricade. People were there to experience fireworks and some joy. We're just about to open the Nice Jazz Festival, the Euro, but still, we see very, very little security here. We see very little army. We see a few guys with machine guns, and they're just kind of walking around, not really looking, mostly talking to each other. And French people, we do not feel safe. We are just furious at the lack of security here. We've suffered so many attacks now. We just don't understand how this could be allowed to happen.
I live here. My family and friends are from here. To be honest, in recent months we discussed that a crazy person could carry out an attack here in Nice, or in Cannes, or in Monaco. We really feared this. We thought that a crazy man would shoot at people on the beach as it happened. Fear was in the air, and attacks will continue. It will never stop.
Well, we have heard from the French president. He spoke to the media. He said that there was real horror for France yet again. We also heard from the Interior Minister of France, who said that the country was at war with terrorists.
L'horreur. France has again been hit by horror. We cannot deny the terrorist nature of this atrocity. And it's clear that we must do everything we can to defeat terrorism. The whole of France is under threat.
Vigilance has to remain at its highest level, because we are at war with terrorists who want to strike us by any means possible, in an extremely violent way. And this requires the full mobilization of all resources of the Interior Ministry.
Well, earlier the French president had announced that the state of emergency that had been introduced following attacks on the Bataclan and elsewhere in Paris would be coming to an end. However, that's not the case. We're seeing that extended by 3 months, and France remains at its highest level of terror alert. What has worried some people about the statements from Francois Hollande is the fact that it sounds eerily similar to what he had to say following the attacks on the Charlie Hebdo newspaper offices and on the kosher supermarket in Paris, also echoing what he said after the Bataclan attacks, the attacks on the restaurants and cafes in Paris, and the suicide bombing at the Stade de France. France does not seem to be able to get away from these serious terror atrocities. And what the French people are waking up to on Friday morning is dealing with the fact that over 80 people, 84 or so people have been confirmed killed right now, many in a very serious state. We're seeing horror is the headline on the front of Le Figaro, horror on the front of Le Parisien newspaper. And it's certainly a feeling of horror that is gripping not only the French people, but all people all across the world as we look at this news on Friday.
Yeah, lots of people waking up to this news, including in Nice itself, which is a wealthy French coastal resort, the second most popular destination in the country after the capital, Paris. Around 5 million foreign tourists visit there every year. Tens of thousands gathered on the main streets of the city to celebrate Bastille Day. Former FBI agent James Conway says that created the perfect scenario for a terror attack.
This is a symbolic day. These cowards, these terrorists, they attack innocents, and they try to attack symbolic targets. Bastille Day represents a day of joy, a day of celebration for the French people, and that's why they hit an event like this. The event itself was a celebration, a literal celebration with fireworks and so forth, taking place at one of the hot spots in France, where many tourists visit, many French people holiday in the summertime. So it was a perfect target for them, perfect in terms of a terrorist attack. They not only hit the French where it hurts the most, but also they exploit their media coverage. And they get full coverage, and their terrorist activity has the greatest impact.
Well, police officers found an ID card inside the truck. It belongs to a 31-year-old male resident of Nice of Tunisian origin, so a dual nationality there. It's not yet been confirmed whether the ID belongs to the driver of the truck who died in a shootout with police. Well, photos have been released of the truck used in the attack. We're also just hearing a police source told AFP that the truck used in Nice was rented several days prior to the attack. That's new information coming in. Now, police fired dozens of shots at the windscreen. You can just see how evocative really this shot is up close. Earlier I was speaking to RT's Daniel Hawkins. He talked me through the route of the attacker.
The starting point of when he breached that police cordon was around here in the bottom half of the screen. The truck then travelled for as much as 2 kilometres along the promenade, ending here with that police shootout, reaching speeds of between 70 and 90 kilometres an hour at some points. So certainly very difficult for police to control at that point. Now, we do have a video to show which allegedly shows the very beginning of that attack. Before we show it, it's as yet unconfirmed. The footage is grainy, presumably from an eyewitness camera phone, and it's also graphic, just a warning. Let's take a look now. This is the truck. Alongside it, the truck, we can see some sort of motorcycle or scooter. We don't know if it's a civilian one or a police one, but it's making its way alongside the truck. Perhaps it's trying to stop it, but the footage is very hard to make out at this point. At this point, the truck is, of course, traveling quite slowly. Now, as the video carries on and the truck moves forward, again, there is another, what appears to be an attempt by police to stop it. We've outlined here 2 police officers. The footage is grainy, as I say, but 2 police officers or security officers come out with their arms are outstretched. It's quite hard to make out what's going on. Perhaps they're trying to stop the truck. Perhaps they have firearms pointing at it. But there is another attempt here to stop the truck coming forward. As the video carries on, at this point, the truck noticeably speeds up as it goes past this zebra crossing. You can see it just fly past here. With officers in foot pursuit of the truck, but at this point it's too late. They've really lost control of the situation. You can already see the crowds here on the promenade. At this stage, really, the police have failed to stop this truck.
Well, this video also shows no other traffic on that same road where the lorry is, except for, as you were saying, that motorcycle as well. So at this stage, this is the area that is completely closed off, and the truck is there. That's correct. There's the motorcycle and another police vehicle parked in the lane going the other way. But in these sorts of events, it's normal police procedure to close off not only the roads in the event area itself, but also roads going in there. And that begs the question, if we just bring that video back once again, when the truck makes its way into the area, very densely packed, of course, with those crowds, why was there no police barriers, police roadblocks, police blockades? Further back here, it's very normal in these sorts of events to close off roads, one for road traffic safety, and secondly, in the case of France in particular, for terror threats. And bear in mind, Union, of course, French intelligence received threats of vehicle-borne explosions, explosive attacks of IEDs. This was a specific threat that would be vehicle-borne. Had the police deployed at least one or even multiple roadblocks before this, and had the police at that secondary interception deployed some sort of stinger device, which again is very commonly used by police forces in the States and in Europe to stop cars, that truck would have been, if not stopped completely, it would have been significantly slowed down and certainly prevented that truck travelling for 2 kilometres at such high speeds.
The incident in Nice is not the first assault of its kind on French soil. Back in December 2014, the country was hit by a wave of similar attacks, but on a much smaller scale. In the city of Dijon, a driver rammed a group of pedestrians, leaving 13 injured. He was heard shouting Allahu Akbar, meaning God is greatest in Arabic. Prosecutors later said he was suffering from a severe mental disorder. Later the same month, in the city of Nantes, a man drove a truck into a Christmas market, injuring 10 people. He then stabbed himself several times in an apparent suicide attempt. And around that time, in the central French town of Jouy-les-Tours, a man wielding a knife and also shouting Allahu Akbar stormed a police station. He stabbed 3 people before being shot and killed by police.
Well, the French intelligence chief recently made some striking remarks about the country's anti-terror fight. He admitted to serious failures while testifying before a parliamentary commission in May. I'm happy to say RT's William Whiteman joins me now for more on that. William, what exactly did the French intelligence point out to the Commission? This has been wired in a little bit of controversy, hasn't it?
Well, I mean, it was several things which were brought to light. I mean, there's the key points that all of the extremists who took part in the 2015 attacks were essentially known to authorities, were on various watch lists. Some of them also had prior convictions as well, which obviously would have made them visible to police as well. It was a multi-layered and complicated intelligence system they were using to communicate with each other, obviously using encrypted communications tools. And effectively, an